your piece. I'll be honest. Wednesday night I was at the premiere of Kurt and Brenda Warner's new movie, The American Underdog, here at Los Angeles. And I come out of the theater, and I hear Urban Meyer is fired, and then I read the story, and it's like after what happened with Josh Lambo. I'm like, what? And then I looked at your story, and I read it 3 times, and I'm like, I cannot, like, what? Like, he kicked a kicker, like, and then asked him the next day, when are you going to put a smile on that face? And it just struck me as so outrageous. And Urban Meyer, to my colleague Ian Rappaport, has essentially said that's just not the way it happened. So I'll give you the floor on this. Rick?
Well, Josh Lambo, contemporaneously reported that to the Jaguars back in August. So it wasn't a situation where he just decided, let me jump on the pile here while Urban is taking on water. He feels, for a lot of people in that Jaguars organization, he spent 5 years there. He's a successful kicker in his own right. And, the thing about it is what Urban Meyer, in his statement that he gave us, that I read with Ian, nobody is disagreeing the event happened. It's just to what degree. If we're talking about how hard he kicked a guy, that's not a great argument on his behalf, in my opinion. But, when you hear the language, the bullying that goes on, not calling specialists by their name, the sort of, I can only imagine what 18 through 21-year-olds, reacted to when they're going through it at, Bowling Green or Utah or, Florida or Ohio State. But it doesn't work at this level with professionals. And he was his own worst enemy from the get-go. So it's ironic, I think, that, a specialist may have been the last straw, something that happened back in August. But, all I can say is when I did the story, they were in crisis mode in Jacksonville. I had a lot of conversations with them. They begged me to hold the story till 4 o'clock. I got a statement from their legal counsel first. I got, a threatening letter from his attorney about publishing the story without certain information. We waited for their statement, and in the end, Shad Khan said he decided last Sunday or Sunday before that to fire him. But I don't know why you fire a guy on a Wednesday after you let him game plan, go through a practice, and then disappear from the meeting. So none of this adds up to me. The organization is totally dysfunctional. They turned it over to a guy who wasn't capable of making the transition to the NFL. And he, in the end, I think he got what he deserved. But I'll grant you, I went to bed, and when I woke up to see that he was fired, I didn't expect that to happen that day or that evening, but it was a surprise to me as well.
Yeah. So the timeline was whose lawyer? Was it the team's lawyer or Urban Meyer's lawyer?
No, Urban Meyer's.
So what happened? Urban Meyer's lawyer reached out to you and threatened you?
Well, they reached out, and they, it's kind of Rich, because they wanted to offer up, a couple of players, but only off the record.
To corroborate that he did not kick Lambo?
To corroborate, not that he didn't kick him, but to the degree of which he kicked him. And I was willing to speak to them. My editor decided, since, it's funny because during this whole drip process, everybody was using sources and, well, who are these people? And if I catch a source, he's gone tomorrow, and this sort of stuff that you'd hear from the Jaguars organization. Then when their guy's under fire, they want to offer up, unnamed sources and players that, will back the coach, and which is fine, except that this was a guy that showed enough courage to put his name on the incident and was willing to speak on the record. But Urban's statement, which was included in our report, said that there were witnesses that would back his story. But again, the ones I talked to, all we were talking about is the degree to which he kicked him, not that he didn't kick him. So, that's a matter of interpretation. But overall, it wasn't one thing. It might have been the last thing, but they knew about it since August. So I don't know how Shad Khan and firing him for cause and all that's going to play out. But I give Josh Lambo credit for telling his story, telling his truth, and being very honest as he could be about it. And, in the end, the results are what they were.
So you're saying to me, Rick Stroud, and everybody here, that based on your personal experience, Urban Meyer's final hours as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars involved communicating to you through his lawyer in sometimes threatening manner and also offering up players. So he's also spending his final moments as the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach asking players or identifying players or trying to reach out to players to say, hey, will you, unnamed source, talk to this reporter from the Tampa Bay Times to talk about how I really didn't kick Josh Lambo very hard back in August? That's what you're saying. His final hours, part of which were spent.
Yeah, he came off the practice field. His coaches didn't know why he wasn't in the meetings after that. They were in complete scramble mode since 8:30 in the morning
of that Wednesday.
The time that Urban spent when he wasn't working with the team was consulting his representatives, who were then calling me. I spoke numerous times to people about the details of the story, providing them with everything I had. They wanted an extension before we published till 4 p.m. We delayed it until 4:30, and they were in scramble mode. And that just doesn't sound like a guy that the owner had fired on Sunday to me. So, to what extent that contributed to it, I saw the reaction to the people, to the story from people. Maybe that had some impact, but Urban Meyer was solely focused on keeping his job because of Lambo's comments, and they had plenty of advance notice about what that story would say. And, they were just trying to refute it as best they could, but no one said that he didn't kick him. That's the interesting part. So that's all I can say about it. But yeah, it was quite a Wednesday afternoon.
Right. So you've been covering the NFL how long again, Rick? How long have you been covering the NFL?
A long time, Rich.
Okay. So where does this rank? Where does this one rank for you? Where does it rank?
It's a weird one, It's not often, It's just not often you'll write a story. I mean, I've had a couple weeks where got beat up pretty good by people after the Antonio Brown story, and 2 weeks later, 15 days later, 3 guys got suspended. Wrote a Josh Lambo story, and Urban Meyer got fired the next morning. So the Miami Dolphins are not looking for me to walk into their building anytime soon. I can tell you that. But no, you don't like to see people lose their jobs, and it's part of our job.
Yes.
To just report and be very careful with what we say or what we allow other people to say. And we're a for the record paper. So everything we have written about both instances are people that are willing to put their name on it. We didn't source anything. And, I'm proud of the work we do at the Tampa Bay Times. And, other people like the NFL and Shad Khan and those guys made those decisions, not me. But I think they were important stories, and I'm glad we got them.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.